Hi everyone. I haven't been around in a while. Been out of town and then had some sick kiddos, so we've been a little busy, but I have a lot of stuff to share. I've been jotting things down in these days, so I'm trying to catch up for lost time, which is ironic because that's actually the subject of one of the dreams that I had. This was actually a while ago. I'm going to do a quick summary of several dreams because some of these I had a while ago and didn't realize the significance until more recently I came across them, and now I kind of have a more of a understanding, a revelation with some of these. One of these dreams, probably about maybe a month or 2 months ago, I was walking through a city and I didn't recognize the town. I had a sense that it was somewhere familiar to me, possibly a little town nearby where I live. And I was walking through these streets, specifically passing through some intersections, and somehow I just knew that dates were disappearing. Like I saw on some newspapers, they just disappeared. And I just knew that everywhere I would go, all over the world, dates were just disappearing. And I remember saying out loud, I don't know if somebody was with me, but I just said, how come nobody's noticing that all the dates are vanishing? Like I would walk up to where they're selling newspapers and the date would just vanish. Another point in that same town, I walked across an intersection and I saw like a little, not a kiosk, but like some kind of a stand where they were selling something. And they look like little decorative nameplates like you would see in a store. They, sell plates with your name, personalized plates. And I walked through there but these were like golden. They were almost medieval looking, very elegant, very well made. And as I walked by one, it caught my attention and I stopped and looked and it had my name on it. And I thought, oh, okay, but I was on my way somewhere, so I just noted it. Later on in the dream, I walked by it again, and this time I stopped and really looked at it. And it seemed like my name had transformed into something like a new name, or maybe it was a soul name, I don't know. I recognized it as mine, but when I woke up, I could not remember how it was spelled. I just know it was my name, but it was not the name I have now. So what I think that is, the thought that came to mind when I thought of that part of the dream, which I think maybe the Lord was speaking to me, was I had heard of people who had taken trips up to heaven and they had seen mansions with a nameplate on it. And it was made known to me that that would be a nameplate for me. And I had been asking the Lord and praying about whether there is, I kind of wanted to see if there was a glimpse of maybe a mansion for me. I would like to see that. And all he would show me was my nameplate, like he's going to save that for me. I kind of had the feeling it's a surprise. So, which is fine. That was a nice little, clue that there is more. Another dream, and this is a dream I didn't really pay attention to until I recently watched a video of a sister in Christ of mine, and she had a dream almost exactly the same. So I thought this might be important. In her dream, her name is Rhonda Empson. She's awesome. And if you guys have not found her channel, I recommend you do, because so many times she's given me confirmation on something that didn't make sense. And then she'll have a dream almost identical. Like she dreamt of, I had a dream many, many months ago of going to Florida, or watching a very godly family going to Florida. They were packing up and I had no idea what that meant. And then she later said in her dream, somebody going to Florida, and that meant the rapture. And I had never known that. And I just thought that's way too uncanny. And several other people had also had dreams like that. Anyway, and she had a dream of seeing a TV, suddenly, seeing on the TV people rioting, and then suddenly it just turned off. The TV just went dead. I had a dream where I had walked in to a big open room with all kinds of flat screen TVs all around the room, almost like in a half circle. And I wanted to turn them off. And I had a remote in my hand, or I was trying to change the channel. That's what it was. I was trying to do something with the remote. I don't know what, but suddenly the TVs just turned off, like they went dead. And I looked at the remote going, oh, what did I do? And I think my husband or somebody ran over and took the remote from my hand going, oh, what did you do? So I don't know what that meant, other than things maybe the TV's representing the world and things are just going to go out. Now this is a dream that I just had over Thanksgiving. I was at my in-laws' house and I woke up very unsettled. This was kind of graphic and I don't know what it means. I could really welcome some input on this. So all I remember is I was looking at what looked like a big mountain, and there was a horse kind of scrambling, trying to get up this mountain, or trying to scramble away. it's sad because this horse looked like mutilated. It would look like it had been skinned alive. And I don't usually have dreams like that, but the horse was alive and it was struggling, and I could just tell it was in so much pain. And suddenly it's like the earth below that horse just went whoosh, like a sinkhole, like almost a perfect bowl. It just went whoosh. And the horse all of a sudden tried to rear up and scramble up, but it didn't make it. And I was watching the horse going, like it didn't make it, and it just got sucked into the hole. And soon after that, I saw like a quick flash of this time a group of people, and they were all sucked into a huge sinkhole. And then I woke up. That last one happened really fast. And I don't know if that was like a sinkhole going to hell. I don't know. I don't know what the significance of a horse meant. I've looked up in some places that a horse can mean a country or it can mean war, like the four horsemen. And I don't know what country that could have symbolized, or a war about to happen, or what the significance of it, just a horse going down, or what the state of that horse, that being all bloodied up, what that meant. Okay, then look at my notes here. Another dream I had, and these are a couple of important dreams I want to share, because many years ago I kind of was like into New Age stuff. I believed in God. I thought that was all like many paths lead to God and all that. And I want to set the record straight that is not true. And I think the Lord is calling me through these dreams to speak some knowledge on this, because I know that way of thinking, and I know it's a snare of the enemy. And I know that is not true, that there's not many ways to get to God. There's only one way. But in this dream, I was what looked like a library. And I held a book in my hands, and it looked like some kind of mystical Asian Buddhism, Hinduism kind of book. I just saw an Oriental man kind of sitting in a yoga pose, and there was all kinds of forgive me, I don't know what the language or what kind of script it would be called, if it was like Buddhist writing or something, or if I just know it was in a script I didn't recognize. And I was holding the book and I was talking to somebody, and the cover was peeling, like the whole spine was just peeling. And I said, look at this book, it's not bound correctly. And I was just kind of unhappy with how the workmanship of this book. And that's when I flipped it open, and that's when I saw the pictures of the Hinduism. And I said, this is false. This is false doctrine. And I'm just looking at my notes to see if that was everything I said. It seemed like that was, yeah. And I think why I was concerned is I have, he was in a yoga pose, and that's not something I used to think about before, but it's come to my mind, or it's come to my attention through several people and through things I've read, that yoga can be a doorway where you're lining up your energies with Eastern philosophies. If you're lining up something to get energy from a place other than God, think about where that could be coming from. And I'm just saying that I'm starting to feel less comfortable with certain philosophies and things that people subscribe to. I'm just being extra cautious. I'm just going to put that out there. Now, another dream where I was kind of setting somebody straight on something was, and I don't mean to sound pretentious, I'm just saying this because these are things that I used to really be curious about. And now, when you have come to the Lord, He cleanses you. He helps you shed that stuff away. And it's like your eyes are just opened. And you become so sensitive to things that are snares for other people, because you know they used to be a snare for you. So another thing was, another dream was a lady I was in a store, and this is really weird. I was shopping, and I look over, and for some reason I'm sitting on the floor waiting for something, and I look over to my left, and there's a lady on the floor with her boyfriend, and they're kind of like rolling around, being really inappropriate. And I was like kind of not looking at them, just like, okay, I'm just gonna give them their space. But then she looks over at me, and she kind of like rolls over, really just like, hey. And she says, she's talking about New Age stuff. And she's really being cool, like, this is the way we think, this is a really cool way of thinking, freedom, and, God is love, and that is kind of like a, pretty much gives people liberty to do whatever they want. So she was saying these things to me, and I wasn't really listening to her, because I felt like she's very deceived, and like, where do I begin? I just didn't say anything. And then she looks at me like she's really trying to hook me, and she said, well, I've left my body. I can leave my body. Have you ever left your body? And I said, actually, the Spirit has taken me up out of my body one time. And she was surprised by that. And that's not something I really talk about. I did say in one video one time that that happened, and I know that it was of the Lord. I prayed the whole way, and anyway, that's a whole nother video. But in the dream, I told her that, and she kind of looked surprised, like, oh. And well, then she said, well, I believe in this and this and this, and she's talking about it. And she said, there's all these different paths that lead to God. And that's when I finally turned to her and I said, there is only one path that leads to God, and that's through Jesus Christ. And then I woke up. So I don't know if this is my own stuff I'm working out through these dreams, or the only reason these are coming up out of me is to share them. But I felt there's no harm in that. And again, I used to be one of those people, so that's why I feel like it's important, because if I had seen a video like this maybe 10 years ago, I would have saved a lot of wasted time. Okay, so, okay, I think that catches up with that part of the dream. Now, last night I had several dreams, and these woke me up all through the night. And I think I woke up at midnight, then 2 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock. And they were very vivid. Some of them, I'm not going to waste your time. I don't know if they apply to everybody, but they're just so vivid. But there was one in particular that I did want to share. So I was walking along a city, and I came across this big church over to my right, and I wanted to talk to somebody in this church. And I was going to go this way, but then I thought, no, I'm going to go cut through here, like a little abbey or a courtyard or something. And I came across this pastor, a very young guy, kind of slim. I didn't recognize him at all, but I just knew he was a pastor. And I said, I need to talk to your theologian. I don't know why I said that, but I said, I need to talk to your theologian. Like, I'm looking for this person. And he said, oh, okay, well, follow me. And so he guided me over to this group of people. And they're all sitting kind of together, and he introduces me to this group of people, and he points out to who the theologian is, whom I can't remember right now who that was, but I sat down, like they're having a meeting, and they invited me in, so I sat down at this meeting, and a man, maybe it was the pastor, he hands over a plate, and it's filled with cookies. And they're real thick, really delicious looking cookies. But then he starts stirring his hand up in them, and and he's joking around, but he gets his hands all in them, and he's offering it to everybody, and people are taking some cookies. And for some reason, I just said, no, I don't want that. I don't want your cookies, which is really rare for me. Trust me, in real life, that's my weakness. But anyway, I said, no, I don't want that. So then he comes over and he starts passing out magazines. And these magazines kind of look odd. They're like, I don't want to say they're cartoons, but they're like drawings, like black, thick line drawings. They're not cartoony like in the sense that kids would see, but they're just hand-drawn pictures. And there were silhouettes of people. And I didn't know what the significance of these magazines were, but I reached over to take one, and I said, oh, I'm kind of figuring out which one I want to take. I was like, I'll take that one. And I open it up, and I look at the cover, and it has a woman and something else, either, I think another person, something was next to her, and her head was cut off. And then there was, I think, a person or an animal or something next, which also had its head cut off. It wasn't bloody or graphic, but it was just they were missing. And I just looked at it, and I didn't really say or think anything, but then I just suddenly woke up. And I don't know what that means, but as I thought on it, the word martyr came to mind, like people are going to be martyred soon. I'm really sensitive to graphic things. I can't watch, all my life, I've never really been able to watch really, the slasher movies. I could never watch those. So maybe the Lord was sparing me by not putting something so graphic, like showing me an actual beheading or something, but it was just like a drawing. Now, that horse going down the sinkhole, that was pretty bad for me to watch that. Only other dream I had that had to do with magazines was, and I think what that means is someone's testimony, or like that Buddhist book I was opening up. That's a belief. That's a testimony from somebody saying, believe this. Here was somebody handing me a magazine. Now, this pastor, he could represent a church that's maybe backslidden or something. I was trying to seek out somebody to talk to them. Like, I felt it was very important work. And the cookies, I think maybe that is somehow partaking of food, if you will, of like Christ. But that wasn't right. That was tampered with. And and normally it's something I have a weakness for, but in the dream I had discernment and I said no. So that's a connection. It could be something that normally I had a weakness for, but now I know better. And that could make perfect sense with all these other dreams I've had. Now, this other dream where I saw a magazine and I don't want to make a big controversy, maybe people feel this way, I don't know. But in this house, I was in this house, this very beautiful house, woodwork, beautiful kinds of things. And it was an older house. And I was almost walking around this house like I was considering buying it. Then it was made known to me this was a former priest's house, like a Catholic priest. And then I got very uncomfortable. One whole half of my family is Catholic, and my dying grandma was Catholic, and I spent a lot of time with her before she passed. And I just saw there was a lot of lack of knowledge, a lot of, not saying all, but a lot of Catholics lack knowledge of the Bible. They're kind of encouraged not to read, but to go through their church, through their priest, to get wisdom or understanding. It's very doctrine based and very much where I'm not going to judge, because I'm not saying Catholics aren't saved. I cannot make that call, because who am I to say if somebody sincerely loves the Lord Jesus Christ and sincerely loves God? That, that's up for him to decide. But all I know is in this dream, I was in a Catholic priest's house, and I was liking the house until I heard that. And I got really uncomfortable, like something's not right. And then I noticed when I was touching the walls, they would just come apart like a cardboard paper you'd buy, like poster board. There was a part of the staircase that was made of poster board, and it just fell apart. And inside the wall were all these hollowed out milk jugs, like things that would hold liquid but were empty, like empty vessels, but they were kind of plastic, like really insubstantial kind of materials. And I really was angry, and I said, look, this house is not stable. This is shoddy workmanship. This is not a strong house. And a woman came over and confronted me on that, like she was a real estate agent or something in the dream, and she wanted to have it. I can't remember what our words were, but I just remember a confrontation of some kind. But later in that dream, yet again, another group of people sitting kind of like in a semicircle. I'm sorry, like an oval, like not a perfect circle, but kind of like this, and like an oval. And in this group were all these dignitaries, these priests, these very religious men. And we're still in that Catholic priest's house, and this man had passed, whoever lived there. And they were really excited about this new magazine, again, a magazine that had come out for their church. On the cover of the magazine was a woman, an actual photograph of a woman. And I had the sense that she was not a witch, but she was somebody who was very into New Age or some kind of pagan way of thinking. The title of the magazine sounded something like, or the way it was spelled looked like Apollyon or Paula or Apollyon. And that's in Revelation? Yeah, that is one of the demons with Satan who come out of hell. And I didn't know what that meant in the dream, but when I woke up, I recognized that word. Anyway, I got really angry that these men were endorsing this magazine and excited that it just got published. And I walked over with a magazine and I said, this is false doctrine. And again, here I am confronting somebody in this dream. And I remember seeing my sister in that circle. Now, she's a born-again Christian, and I don't know why she was at the meeting, but she met my eyes going, oh boy, here we go. These people are so deceived. And all I'm saying is this dream. Hang on, honey. My children are running around. All I'm telling you is about this dream I had, and that I just felt very uncomfortable that there is some false truths going out there. I'm not trying to besmirch any kind of Catholics out there, because again, I can't make a call, a blanket statement for an entire religion, but I'm just saying what I was shown, and I'm just concerned. So if you are Catholic, and later in the dream, I did have a conversation with a friend of mine who is Catholic in that dream, and I don't even remember the details of that, but I know this dream was about that. And if you are Catholic, all I'm saying, you can love Jesus and God bless you, but read the Bible and see what the Lord tells you. And you could be, you could be so close to getting the what He wants you to find out. So, I know many godly people from that religion. So I'm not going to get long-winded about that, but I'm just sharing this. So guys, I just felt impressed to share these dreams with you, and I make up for lost time because I've not been on here in a while. So anyway, please leave your comments. I'd love to know what kind of symbolism you can unlock with all this. My little girl's trying to get me to pick her up. She says up. Anyway. Okay, guys, God bless you, and let me know what you think.